The Tar Heels are down right now. When Coach Davis says there's two options, stay on the mat and whine or get up and fight, which one's it going to be?
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, December 6, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. It's the only daily North Carolina show out there. Excuse me, I'm your host, Isaac Shea, joined by our good buddy, Coach Pac Kilby, coming to us on a Friday this week. His basketball season's getting crazy, and it just messes up everybody's schedule. It's fun. You never know when Coach Pac Kilby might pop up. Thanks so much for joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listen or watch and tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can get started this season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers, you place a $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $150 back in bonus bets. Check it all out at FanDuel.com. Want to welcome in the everydayers. Glad you guys are here, along with all the Locked On Tar Heels Discord members and our Locked On Tar Heels insiders. Let's get right after it. Pac, ACC play is upon us, at least for a game. Carolina's going to have Georgia Tech coming up tomorrow, Saturday, so we're going to get you ready for that game. We'll have our weekend whip around. We'll make predictions. We're going to have the Four Corners preview, all sorts of good stuff here. But, Pac, where I want to start today is with a quote from Coach Davis post-game Alabama on Wednesday night. He said, quote, "When things don't work our way, there are two choices. You can stay down and whine and complain, or you can get your tail back up and step forward and start swinging." I think anybody else would have used a different word for, or you can get your tail back up. And so that's from Coach Davis. Stay down, get up, and swing. Coach Pac Kilby, I think obviously the intimation there is I want my dudes to get up and step forward and start swinging. The question for me is, what does that look like right now? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, truthfully, if I can for a minute, just say the get up and start swinging starts with Coach Davis. And I think, maybe there should continue to be some more lineup changes, potentially mixing it up with the bigs, seeing if we can get some different production out of them. We haven't gotten a ton out of Jalen Washington or Van Allen Lubin, but maybe if we start Van Allen and bring Jay Wash off the bench, maybe that does something a little different. I don't know. There's got to be some shakeup, though. There's got to be some accountability, and there's got to be some changes made to try and spark some life into this team. In one sense, he is right. We do have to get up and keep swinging and keep trying to get better and find ways to grow as a team. And I think that starts with Coach Davis, though. He's got to be the one that sets the tone for that, and the guys have to follow through with that. Defensively, I thought, if you're looking at the Alabama game, I thought the first 5-ish minutes we were locked in. We were really getting after it, and we got to find a way to do that for 40 minutes. And I just don't feel like we've done that to this point.
Yeah.
And we do it in spurts, like I think about the 1.5, 2 minute spurt that we ran that diamond in one press, and we turned them over a time or two and created some momentum for ourselves. And then we got away from it and never went back to it. As small as we are, we're going to have to create some advantages for ourselves. So we need to look at potentially pressuring more in the full court, pressuring more in the half court, and making some changes where we're kind of requiring ourselves to get up and fight and speed people up and take them out of what they do, and where we're the aggressors. And so maybe that would help change the way that we battle. I don't know, but I do think Coach Davis is right to an extent. Yeah, we need to keep getting up. We need to keep fighting and finding ways to get better. But I want to say that, to the team, but also to the staff. I think there's some accountability there for them as well.
I love that take, Pac. And I think that is a very healthy and appropriate way to say it without just bash it like Coach Davis should be fired, right? Like, that's not at all what you're saying. And I think because to just say get up and start swinging assumes that the way things are going right now is merely just a lack of that. And I think what the point that you make that is so important and critical to me is that from the coaching standpoint, there need to be some changes to allow that swinging to happen. And so whatever variety of those things it is, I think you got to tinker with it, because whatever you got right now ain't it. And so what's the worst you could do? Lose another game? Okay, well, that's already happening. So let's try stuff. And you don't know what, I mean, you just talked about Van Allen Lubin, Pac. I was looking at it while you were talking. He has the highest offensive rating on the team of the regular rotation per 100 possessions at 147.3. And defensive rating, he has, if you count Ty Claude in the regular rotation, I guess, Van Allen Lubin would be second. But if you don't count Ty Claude, Van Allen Lubin would be first in defensive rating. And so it's a smallish sample size. But again, it's there. The numbers are there on both sides. Just give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. Let's see what happens. If it ain't working, pull him.
Well, and like you said, it's already not working, so what do we have to lose by fixing it up? And
it's gonna not work less. I mean, you're like, what are we talking about?
And that is sometimes like a concern I have with the staff. And I like the way you put it. I'm not calling for them to be fired or anything. I'm just raising concern. I think sometimes we're hesitant to change. And I wonder, really, I don't have an answer. I just wonder why that is. Because like you said, I mean, we don't have anything to lose. We might as well mix it up and see if it causes us to get better and causes us to get up and be the aggressors and different things of that nature. And so, I mean, I definitely think there are things we need to not be hesitant to mix up and see if it causes us to get out of our comfort zone and grow. And I mean, the only thing it could do is take us up.
Yeah. And the nice thing is, again, similar to post Maui to Alabama, after this game tomorrow, you've got a week before you play LaSalle on Saturday, which is another opportunity to tinker, quite frankly, with all due respect to LaSalle. But right now, you've got this critical game in front of you. So you got to turn the corner quickly from Wednesday night, but you're on a 3-game skid. You can't dwell on what happened Wednesday night because you got to move on. That's what good athletes do. But man, do you have to learn from what happened Wednesday night. And here's the good news, Pac, as we move into Saturday's game. This is an untouched, unblemished part of the schedule where Carolina is 0-0 in the ACC, just like Georgia Tech is going to be, and all the other 16 teams in the ACC that will play their first conference game this weekend. While, yes, I know Carolina is 4-4 overall, they could be 1-0 in the ACC, and that is going to be critical. I know the ACC is like rating right now at KenPom as the worst of the high major conferences. It don't matter, man. You got to go do work in the conference to put yourself in a better position, and that starts tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but this game feels like it has a lot of weight to it. From my perspective, like as a coach, I'm thinking, we've lost 4 in a row or 3 in a row?
3 in a row.
And could have been 4 in a row if we didn't get our act together in the second half against Dayton.
That's right.
And, you're starting off ACC play against a decent Georgia Tech team. If you lose this game to go under 500, it kind of feels like that weight on your shoulders gets a lot heavier. Because not only have you gone under 500, you're starting 0-1 at ACC play. You lost at home to a team you probably shouldn't have lost to.
Well, this is a quad 4 game, Pac. This is a quad 4 game right now.
Yep. And so I just feel like it carries a lot of weight, even though, you might just look at it on the surface and say, oh, it's Carolina, Georgia Tech. Carolina's got that. And maybe they do, but the game does feel like it has a lot of value to it, and we really need this right now. So if we don't get it, I'm going to be concerned about the trajectory of our team moving forward. And if we do get it, like you just mentioned, then maybe we traject ourselves in the right direction, and we start to right the ship a little bit, and we look at it like, hey, we picked up a decent win. We're 1-0 in ACC play, and gives us some momentum moving forward. So I think this game means a lot, and we need to make sure we're ready to go get it.
And I mean, look, let's remember Georgia Tech beat Carolina last year down in Atlanta. Questionable non-foul at the end of the game, but still Carolina lost the game on paper. And I mean, something that concerns me. Yes, Carolina on paper is a better team than Georgia Tech. But Damon Stoudemire is wily, man. Georgia Tech won some games against some of the teams at the top of the ACC last year. And he is a coach, with this NBA mindset. He's not going to hesitate to work to find a mismatch or an area where Georgia Tech is advantage and then exploit that over and over and over again until you stop it or change or do something. And so, for example, Carolina didn't have to deal with Bayandongo last year, who got hurt right at the beginning of that game. If he's having his way inside against Jay Wash and Jay Witt and Van Allen and Ty Claude, Georgia Tech's just going to keep going there. Nathan George leads the ACC in assists. Play a little two-man game with that, and if Carolina can't stop it, boy, you're in big trouble, and you could lose this game just as quickly as you think you might not. So, Pac, that said, we got to figure out how Carolina can win it. What should everyone be watching for as they get into this game tomorrow? We're going to give our Four Corners preview to help make you a better and more prepared fan for this game. All that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mint Mobile, look, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to go to massive wild lengths just to save a few bucks. It's got to be easy for me. No big hoops to jump through. So when Mint Mobile said, hey, look, it's easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out it really is that easy. The longest part of the process was trying to break up with a previous provider. All of their plans at Mint Mobile come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan, and you get to bring over your own phone number and all your contacts. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege to cut your wireless bill to $15 a month. $45 upfront payment is required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds are slower, above 40 gig on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Oh, baby, it's time for the Four Corners preview, our shout out to Coach Dean Smith that we do at the beginning of every game. Pac Kilby, we're going to bounce back and forth on this. Why don't you kick us off with the first of the Four Corners preview?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that we have to avoid slow starts. And that really kind of goes without saying, right? Our last 4 games, we've had a double-digit deficit at halftime in 5 of the last 8, I believe. So we've got to be a lot better in the first half. We've got to get off to faster starts, and really at this point, I don't know. Without being there every day in and around the program, I don't know what the answer is for that. But we've got to find one, and we got to find it quick, because it's just, I mean, as we've seen, as we already know, you cannot sustain a successful season, successful game even, by digging yourself a double-digit hole against good teams. And we've done that so far, so we've got to find a way to avoid that to start the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, it's been literally every high major opponent and Dayton, Pac, like that's telling to me. And part of it is, typically it's been the offense has been fine, but the defense has caused problems. Against Alabama, there were those first couple possessions of really strong, high intensity defense, but Carolina couldn't buy a bucket. And it's just like, man, if one thing's not broken, it's the other. And this is, they have to find a way for this to all come together. I think part of that, man, RJ still just cannot get going. This poor guy, was a little more efficient in the first half, but then the misses just kept piling up, and you just wonder, is it just a slump? Is it a mental thing? Is it a physical? Is there some undisclosed injury that he's dealing with that he doesn't want to let on? Who knows what it is? Whatever it is, really hoping he can get it going, but glad he's still taking shots, man, because clearly he can hit them. He's the best free throw shooter in Carolina history. He's made more threes than anybody else in a single season in Carolina history. It's there. It's just got to get going. Pac, point number 2, the post-production. Just clear and simple. It has not been there with any consistency. There have been moments here or there. And it was interesting. I mean, the front court minutes were basically so evenly divided against Alabama. It was 12 minutes for Jay Wash, 11 for Ty Claude, 17 for Van Allen, and 11 for Jay Witt. And I mean, and I guess we should include Drake in that because he technically started at the 4. And so he had 25 minutes, obviously kind of leading the front court, as it were. Pac, what do you need to see from the front court tonight against Georgia Tech? Tomorrow against Georgia Tech. Good grief.
About 5 more minutes for Drake Powell. Let's get him up to 30. Let's not take him off the court.
And I guess we didn't specify it. Would you start him again tomorrow?
100. He would never get out of the lineup again. He's one of our bright spots. I've been pleased with the way he's played and very happy to see that, because the one thing about Drake, and then I'll kind of get back to the front court, his motor never stops. And I really appreciate that about him. That dude, when he gets on the court, whether it's starting or coming off the bench or whatever, he just busts his tail while he's out there. And he's pretty dang good too. So I really like that about him.
Can I quickly, before you move to the front court as a whole, I want to reiterate something Coach Rob said on Thursday's show. He said that with Drake Powell, you cannot just box score watch. It's kind of similar to Leaky Black. I was thinking that as he talked about it. So don't just look at Drake's counting stats and think he played a good or bad game because of that, because you got to watch the game to understand and appreciate how important he is to this team. Keep going, Pac. I'm sorry.
That's a great word from Coach Rob. As far as the front court goes, man, we just got to get production from them. And by production, I don't even necessarily mean points. I mean, let's keep them off the glass. Let's create a few second chance opportunities for our team. And let's, play connected defense and alter shots around the rim. Just not get buried, not give up any easy looks. Let's just do the little things right. And I just don't feel like we've really done a great job of that to this point. And I know sometimes we're undersized or maybe a little less mobile than we'd like to be on the perimeter. And Jay Wash hasn't shot the ball like we thought he would from the perimeter when he's gotten those opportunities. But if you just take all that and just set it aside, can we rebound? And can we get stops when we need to get stops? And if they can give us that, then I'll feel okay in this game. I think our backcourt is good enough to control this game. It'll just be a matter of, can our front court hold their own?
Yeah.
All right, Isaac, point number 3, the turnover battle. The last 4 games in particular, the 3 at the Maui Invitational and then the Alabama game, I just feel like we've been really loose with the ball, and we really need to control the game. We haven't been as efficient as we'd like to be offensively, and so valuing our possessions, making sure we get shots on goal and not giving the ball up to the other team, I think is going to be really, really critical for us until we find our way and find our footing offensively. So definitely need to value the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be straight out counting stats. This is not going to be tempo-free turnover percentage. But in the first 4 games of the season, Carolina had 6, 9, 9, and 5 turnovers. In the 4 games since, the ones you referenced, 15, 10, 11, and 13. So again, I know that's not tempo-free, but Carolina's had pretty similar possession numbers in each game, and single-digit turnovers in the first 4, double-digit turnovers in each of the last 4. So I think that there is a clear demarcation line there with something going on, and we're going to need to figure that out. I'm even wondering, Pac, if 4 corners point number 4 that I'll introduce here in a second might point to that as well. But it's both sides of it, too, of Carolina needs to continue to force turnovers from the other team. We've been seeing, like, RJ had 4 steals against Alabama. I'm liking that, because that's one of the things you have to take advantage of if you're going to continue to roll out the 3G lineup, is you've got to have Seth, RJ, and Elliot being wildly disruptive, and now Drake too. I think that's part of the win of having him in the starting 5, is at 1 through 4, you can be super disruptive to whoever you're guarding, and that's what Carolina has to do, is that early work. So not only limit turnovers, but let's be disruptive as crap, man.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's something we need to create opportunities for ourselves. And that's why I like when we pick up full court, and we pressure people, I mean, that's where we're our strongest, truthfully. I mean, with our athleticism and our speed, we can speed other teams up. And I'd just like to see us do more of that. You're exactly right. We need to create opportunities for ourselves and then, not allow other teams to create opportunities for themselves with the way we value the ball.
Yeah, and that's going to lead us to Four Corners preview point number 4. And that is, Pac, just kind of simply, Elliot Cadeau needs to control this game. Elliot was a bit of a no-show against Alabama, if we're being honest. 1 point, 4 total field goal attempts, 2 threes. Led the team in rebounding, funnily enough. So appreciate that. Did have 4 assists, but also had 4 turnovers. And it just seems like Elliot, after that strong start he had, has fallen off a little bit in the last couple games. You look at the turnover numbers. Look, the turnovers are going to come more often than not from the backcourt, Pack. We just looked at that demarcation line of the first 4 in the last 4 games. First 4 games, here's the turnovers for Elliot: 3-2-1-1. Last 4 games, turnovers for Elliot: 6-2-4-4. I mean, you can just look at it right there, and that points to it. A total of 7 turnovers in the first 4 games, a total of 16 turnovers in the last 4 games. And a conversation you and I were having before the show, Pack, that I think is important is it feels like Elliot, and I think the phrase you use, Pack, and I'll let you speak more to this in a second, is just, man, we need our man at the helm, our man at the controls to be calm, cool, collected, and even keel. Elliot is a little bit of a roller coaster ride emotionally, which can be good at times, right? Like, you want a fiery guy, but I think he's still learning how to rein in that emotion and control himself. If you were coaching him up, if you're Marcus Page putting your arm around him when he comes over to the bench, what are you saying to him?
Well, I'm telling him a lot of exactly what you just said. I think even when it's hard, because being a competitor and being frustrated, and he's not played his best basketball the last 4 games, and so I mean it's easy for all of us to understand and see why he might be frustrated. But major but here, this is that you're the point guard for the University of North Carolina, and that comes with major responsibilities. And one of those is that you lead the team. And when your emotions are riding up and down based on how officials are officiating the game, how you're shooting the ball, whether or not you've been turning it over, you're not focused on leading. You're not focused on executing. I mean, you all know how it is. When you get wrapped up in your emotions, you're not nearly as focused on the little things and the things that make you great as you should be.
Right.
And we need that from Elliot. And if this team is going to reach their potential, if they're going to figure it out, if they're going to find their footing, I think a big part of it is going to be Elliot finding his footing and being that even keel role on our team, that even when things are good, when things are bad, he's still kind of right here in the middle. And that's how you know you've got a mature point guard. And so I think Marcus and Coach Lebo, whoever else is around him coaching those guards up, they've probably told him that already. It's probably a point for him, but it's definitely an area where he needs to show some growth.
Yeah. And Pac, we didn't include these in our Four Corners preview, but just like 3 other quick boom, quick shot things is, more just RJ's got to get going. It felt like Seth has hit a bit of a lull lately after his hot start. Would just like to see him get back going. And then I'm really curious to see how Ian Jackson follows up his career high that he had on Wednesday night. In fact, he's set new career highs in back-to-back games, 37 total points against Michigan State and Alabama. How does he keep growing? Because if he can keep doing that and the rest of the backcourt gets back to what they were doing, man, you could be in really good shape. But it's just so far, it's like nobody's been able to do it all at once. And so that's kind of what we're looking for here. All right, we're going to get to just a little bit more of an introduction to Georgia Tech, game predictions, and our weekend whip around, including the women's basketball team getting a massive dub on Thursday afternoon. Pack. We'll get to all of that coming up in just a second. right after I tell you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, and if you win, you're going to get $150 back in bonus bets, man. That's great news. The FanDuel Sportsbook has everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So maybe you get a hunch in the middle of the game. Maybe you were watching Lions-Packers on Thursday night, and you're like, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to get a whole bunch more catches in the second half. Well, go check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right there on that same page where you place your bets, man. The line for this Carolina-Georgia Tech game is not out yet, but make sure you check that out, as long as all the other great stuff on FanDuel. Go check it all out at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, game details. We've been talking all around it. Let's hone in on it. Carolina, Georgia Tech tomorrow, Saturday, December 7th, 2 p.m. Eastern time on ACC Network. No line at FanDuel yet, as we just said, but KenPom has it Carolina by 15. Pac series all-time record. Carolina leads the way 72-28, even though Carolina lost the most recent matchup last year in Atlanta, 74-73. Carolina was number 3 at the time. They had just beaten Duke, if I remember correctly, and there was like that weird stretch or they were just about to beat Duke. I can't remember where it fell. Their coach, Damon Stoudemire, in his second year at the helm, not ranked in the AP poll right now. They were picked 12th in the ACC preseason out of 18 teams, and right now they are sitting at 180th in the net. So as we said earlier, this is a quad 4 game, Pack, and unfortunately what that means is this can't really do anything for you if you win it, but it certainly is a major grenade if you lose it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely that's why I say there's a lot of pressure with this game, and it might not feel like it, but there is. And if we lose it, it's definitely a grenade in more than one way. Like it bombs our resume, but it also, I think, maybe could tear us up a little bit internally with some frustration and some other things. But if you win it, doesn't do a whole lot for you resume-wise, but I think it could do a lot for us as far as our team morale and just in the right direction. Getting off to a 1-0 ACC start and just getting a win and getting a W in the column right now will feel good.
That's a great point. I was speaking resume specific. I love your point about the morale boost it can be. And when Carolina gets to the main chunk, the final 19 games of ACC play, similar to last year, the first 2 are on the road. So you'd love to head off on the road with a 1-0 start. Wins thus far: West Georgia, Texas Southern, Charleston Southern, and Central Arkansas. Nothing there. Losses: North Florida, Georgia, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. So, Pac, if we're being honest, it's kind of similar, though, to Carolina's win-loss resume right now, with Carolina doesn't really have impressive wins other than Dayton. I think Dayton's a really good basketball team, and the losses are every high major team they played, and we can look at that and judge it, but then you got to look in the mirror, because that's basically what Carolina's resume has on it as well right now.
Yeah, definitely. Very similar. The top teams we've played, we've really struggled. So regardless, we just need to get out here and we need to take care of business and get a W back in the win column.
Now, to be fair, the high major teams that Carolina has played, different caliber than Georgia, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma. So let's be honest about that. Players to watch: Lance Terry is the leading scorer right now, 14.6 points a game. Bayandongo, who we mentioned earlier, and Javian McCollum are second at 12.8. And then Nathan George, 11 points a game and an ACC leading 5.9 assists. So really need to have the guards shut him down well. They don't really have a usual set of starters, although Nathan George and Bayandongo have started every game. And joining them the last 2 games are Luke O'Brien, Dorian Onwuchenkwa. I'm not getting that name right, Pac, but I've been trying it, and Lance Terry as well. So look, that's kind of the setup of it. Kind of as we say about some of the bye games, this, with all due respect to Georgia Tech, this is about Carolina figuring themselves out and going to get this win. And Pac, ultimately, that's what we need to see. As we said, the KenPom line is Carolina minus 15. Can they cover that in this game?
Right now, we're not 15 points better than anybody. So personally, I say no. But if we do, I'll be thrilled about that. I'll just take a 1-point win at this point. But yeah, I mean, 15, that's a pretty big line considering the way we've been playing.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, I mean, I think Carolina wins it straight up, but I don't see them covering 15. Like, I would give it 12. Like, if you gave me 11.5 over, as the spread, I'd struggle with that. I think I would legitimately consider it at that point. But yeah, like as you said, I would take a 1-point win. I'd like to see Carolina just get a double-digit victory in this. Like, that would make me pleased and happy. But while not allowing 8 gajillion points as they've been doing to all the high major teams they've played, it's every high major team in Dayton have scored at least 85 points against the Tar Heels. Got to be better defensively, right? Okay, so quickly, weekend whip around women's basketball deleted Kentucky on Thursday afternoon. Kentucky's number 14, previously unbeaten, 19-point victory for Courtney Banghart's team. Pac. Nice to get a dub against Georgia Amore and head coach Kenny Brooks, who had been at Virginia Tech, just kind of terrorized Carolina. Tiani Key, former Tar Heel, was on this team. Nice to get a dub against both of them. And Pac, speaking of defense, how about this? Courtney Banghart's team has played 9 games. Only one of them, UConn, has scored more than 53 points.
Can she come teach some defense to the
Please. They should give her a call, man. For real, though. Kentucky shot just 35.2% in this game, 29.2% from 3. The Carolina defense is doing work. And in games where they can get their offense going some as well, really, really good stuff. Carolina dominates points in the paint in this game, 42-10. Renaya Kelly leads the way, 18 points, perfect from 3, 6 assists and 1 turnover as well. Maria Gakdang has double digits. Alyssa Usby pitches her usual stuff. Great stuff. The ladies back in action against Coppin State on Sunday afternoon. Women's soccer, Pac, the College Cup starts tonight. Final Four, who are they playing? It's the Duke Blue Devils, 7:30 p.m. Carey, ESPNU. It's literally an all-ACC Final Four in women's soccer, Pac. Are they going to get this done against Duke, who they are 1-2 against this season?
I mean, is there any question? They're absolutely going to. It's Duke in the Final Four. What happens when Carolina plays Duke in the Final Four?
Well, apparently that means Caleb Love's going to come score a goal in this game.
From deep.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, so if Carolina is fortunate enough to win, they will play the winner of Wake and Stanford on Monday night in the championship game at 7 p.m. Volleyball starts the NCAA tournament tonight, first round, 5 p.m. versus Yale. It's up at Penn State because they're playing like in a kind of quad where Penn State's the number 1 seed. And so then if they win, they will play the winner of Penn State, Delaware State. It'll be Penn State on Sunday. So, Pac, that's it. Any final thoughts as we just ship off into the weekend and look ahead to this game against Georgia Tech?
Let's just please get a win. That's my
whatever. I don't care how ugly it is. What happens? Got to get a W and get this thing rolling. Yes, revenge minded again, similar to Wednesday night. Got to get revenge for that game last year. And, man, just got to get back in the win column, get above 500, be 1-0 in the ACC. Be coming at you live right after the game. Make sure you are tuned in, locked in with us here on the YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, by hitting that bell notification to make sure you get notified when I go live and check in on that. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers in the first 3 years of the show, which comes up in late February. And we're so close. If you have not yet subscribed on YouTube, I want to make an ask. Would you go ahead and do that? If you haven't joined Locked on Tar Heels Insiders or the Discord, it's free to join. The link for that is in the show notes for the Discord. And you get a 2-week free trial for the Insiders and then just $5 a month after that. A great way to help support the show. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow after the game. But until then, Pac Kilby, tell them what's up.
Peace.